Yeah, yeah. I think every day is a step in the right direction.
Is he still? Would you still term him as week to week, or does he go day to day now?
I'd say week to week.
Overall, I mean, what does this feel like going into this game? I know we talked about on Monday, but as you get through the week with this opponent being there, what's it like? Having prep with them for so recently. How do you balance that throughout the week?
I think it's good. We just did this with Baltimore back to back weeks playing the same team, so it is a little bit unusual the way that the season has unfolded here in the last 4 weeks for us in terms of playing two opponents over the last 28 days. Our guys handled it well. Um, and again, it's what is this? What game number is this for us? This is 18, yeah, 20, however you want to look at it. So they understand, the process we follow each week, and they've done a good job handling it all.
You guys talk about we'll take whatever we can get sometimes motivation or whatever you all get slided throughout the year. Coming off the Super Bowl, a lot of people didn't kind of put you in the same echelon as Buffalo and Kansas City. How do you feel like that played in the locker room as y'all went through the season?
We know that we're the defending AFC champions, and so there's an edge to this team where we're not an underdog to anybody, and so I think that's just been the feeling we've had all season. We don't really care what anybody else says about us. We know we belong in the field with every team in this league.
Baltimore is a very unique defensive football team to prepare for. Seems like Buffalo is also a very unique
Yeah,
defensive team to prepare for. What is it that makes them different?
they're really smart. They're well coordinated, and you can just tell they've got high football intelligence just across the board on defense, on top of all the talent that they have. And so, um, they've done a good job. They've got a lot of depth at corner. A lot of guys have played in there. Their two linebackers are as good as any group we've played, and just top to bottom, really good, well coached, smart defense. They don't make mistakes. They don't beat themselves. So you gotta take everything you can get when you play against them.
What have you seen from Jackson after he loses the position battle? How has he responded to that, and how is he a different player than he was last year?
Yeah, his attitude's been great. He's continued to work, knowing that his opportunity could come at any moment, at any position. Really, happens to be a left tackle right now, and I think he's really taken a hold of it and worked and listened to Frank and Derek, and proud of the progress that he's made.
The maturation process is obvious, I guess. What is it about that part of things that you've noticed the most in terms of him maturing a little bit as a player and a person?
Well, I think anytime a player goes through their first, second year in the league, um, it can be different from college, and just playing offensive line is difficult. You're playing against a whole different breed of player. When you get up to this level, and I think Jackson's done a great job of taking everything he's learned from his first year and putting himself in a great position to be successful.
Is kind of Dawson Knox has touchdowns in 5 straight games for the Bills. When you see him, how do they scheme him up, and what stands out?
I think not only is he a great player, but they've got so many good skill weapons that it just allows the quarterback to take advantage of the matchups or the open zones, and you don't really have to force the ball to anybody. And so that's they just got such a wealth of talent there, at receiver, at tight end, at running back, and of course at quarterback, that it allows those guys to win their matchups, or when you get the coverage looks for zone coverage, they do a great job taking advantage of it. But he's done a great job.
Jamar was saying that the biggest thing in the red zone, Zach, is details, making sure
Yeah.
everybody's their details down. What are some of the biggest details in your mind that go into successful red zone offensive execution?
The timing is critical, because those windows are so tight. They don't have a lot of grass to defend behind them, and so obviously the safeties are tighter and they're not going to back up, and so um, the rhythm, timing, and accuracy's got to be perfect down there. And I think that skinny that Jamar caught against Cleveland, that's a good example of you don't have any room for error there. The ball's got to be out on time. That window's going to evaporate quickly, and our guys have done a really good job playing fast. It's we don't get a ton of red zone clips every game. We however many we had last time, it wasn't many, and so you got things that maybe you've schemed up and carried over week to week, and we practice them every Friday, and then they're really greased up and ready to go when you finally get to call them in the game.
Unspoken communication gets talked about a lot on the outside in
Mhm.
football circles. To you, what does that mean, like in a situation in the red zone?
Well, I think the nonverbal part with hand signals you'd be talking about, just quick eye contact, but um, just understanding the nature of how the individual defender is playing you and where the ball could be located. I think that's you could argue that's nonverbal communication between the quarterback and the receiver being on the same page there and understanding what's about to happen based on the look they're getting, and Again, that takes a lot of time on task with Joe and all the receivers. He spends a lot of time in the summer training camp during the season. I've told you guys before, our individual periods and our group install periods are maybe even more critical than our actual team periods at times because that's where they get a lot of that chemistry.
Kind of to that point a little bit, we heard y'all last year preparing for the AFC title game, piping in a lot of noise
Mm-hmm.
at Arrowhead. It didn't sound like talking to guys that y'all were doing that this week. I mean, how much is that gonna? How do you kind of get ready for the amount of noise and what goes into how much you guys pipe in and drop down?
We've only practiced one day this week, so the week is still very young. But again, there's a lot of challenges when you're faced on the road, especially in Buffalo. Buffalo's a loud place; they do a great job, and so we've got to get our guys ready over the course of the week.
So do you plan on doing? Do you plan on doing anything similar then, like making sure you pipe in a ton of noise?
Yeah, we'll do whatever we can to make sure our guys are ready for it.
July was silent for a while.
What's that?
For a little while. Do you practice going silent, even though you may not have a tough outdoor opponent for like 2 or 3 weeks? Do you work on it on the interim basis there?
Yeah. I mean, we got to make sure our guys are always on top of it, and again, they do a good job. It's Ted and Joe that drive the communication initially, but everyone's got to be on the same page with it. Go ahead, Jeff.
Yeah, thank you. Like Jamal was saying, he thought that the more he's played, the more you've figured out what he can do in certain situations, and it's kind of grown from one year to the next, moved him around a little bit and knowing what to call when. Would you agree with that? That kind of it's kind of getting a little bit easier to move around.
Yeah, I'll start by saying there's nothing he can't do, and so it's that part's pretty easy. I think as we've just all these guys have been here now for a long period of time. We added Hayden. It's just making sure everybody's in the right position on a play and getting to do what we want to do. So again, there's a lot of flexibility there with all of our guys. About every one of them could go inside, outside, whatever you want to do with them. And the biggest thing is them just understanding the concept and what we're trying to achieve. And so they're not memorizing a play; they understand the concept, and so that allows you to move them around a lot more. Jamar specifically, he's got a great understanding of all of our 2 and 3 man concepts and how he fits in, and he's been the touchdown he caught the other day. He's really been at different positions on that play. That game, we just happened to put him outside in a bunch, and he got the shallow cross coming across. But other times, he's been on the other side where he's number one in the progression, and so just his understanding of the big picture allows us to be able to do that kind of stuff.
So I mean, it's almost like putting him in the slot, but not really.
Yeah, however you want to look at that, but I mean, he caught plenty of balls from the slot last week, and so you never want to let teams off the hook by taking them from the outside and getting those one-on-one opportunities where guys get more on an island. But at the same time, he's got the strength and the quickness and awareness to play inside as well, and that's why he's just such a rare player that way. Is there really isn't a weakness to where you put him. He can do it all.
Joe was saying that snow is the same as playing in rain.
Right.
What challenges does snow present for a quarterback?
I've played in snow once, so I'd be saying what I've seen from people typically. It's obviously colder; your hands get colder, and so it can be a little bit more difficult to grip it. Joe does a great job preparing himself for that, to where he can do a great job gripping the ball. Rain's a whole different animal, it's just slick and it's up to the people taking care of the football is usually at that point.
How good is Ed Oliver compared to some of the other interior defensive linemen you faced throughout the year?
We played a lot of good ones. Ed's up there. He's really quick, really powerful. If he gets you off balance, you're in a lot of trouble, and can be really disruptive in the run of the pass. So, I played him in 2016 when he was at Houston right here at Nippert, and that was my first awareness of him. Actually beating Oklahoma the week before when he did that. He was awesome in that game too. So he's been on my radar for a long time, and he's done a great job in this league. And again, he's a big challenge for us.
Callahan talks about helping in certain ways when you feel like you guys need it. If you have to slide protection inside compared to outside, how does that maybe affect generally speaking, affect the schematics of the offense when you do it that way? When you have an interior pressure coming instead of maybe an exterior one you're more worried about.
Yeah, there's different ways you can combat that. Generally speaking, you're getting a slide one way or the other. So it's not unorthodox, but he's not the only good D tackle they got too. They got a lot of depth there on the edge and inside. I know losing Vaughn wasn't ideal for them, but they've drafted really well at all those spots to have these reinforcements at this point in the season. That's kind of why teams think that way, and so they've got a lot of weapons there that you got to be aware of, and their backers are really good pressuring. They'll bring nickels, they'll bring safeties, they'll bring corners. So this is one of the few teams that really as I say that, probably every person on their defense is pressured, and you don't go into every game with that.
How unique of an animal is Josh Allen in the red zone
Uh,
for what he can do with obviously with his legs, but how
yeah,
big he is, the tight end aspect of what he brings as a runner.
it's just really difficult when you add in, not only is he a tremendous passer, um, accuracy, arm strength, decision making. Then you add on the fact that he's a giant human being and will run and try to run you over. That's tough, and that's one of the reasons why he's had a lot of success, because he's kind of a dual threat that way. They design the run game around him a lot of times, and he's not afraid to carry it and run for it. So it's a unique challenge.
Is it particularly unique in the red zone though? I mean, are there things they do with him in the red zone that maybe they wouldn't do between the 20s?
I mean, they do a lot of stuff with him all over the field, but he's down there in the red zone. When you're adding an extra blocker to the equation because your quarterback is carrying the ball, that can be problematic.
What are the qualities that make Hubbard, man of the year, captain, leader? What are those qualities you see from him every day?
Just cares about everybody else a lot more than himself. You really shows up to work every day, sets a great example for veterans and young players. Um, so dependable for the coaching staff. He's not afraid to communicate with me, and be a leader in the locker room and tell me things that the locker room, is expressing. And that's not easy for guys. You can be a captain and still not have the confidence to be able to take that initiative. And he's done that. He's done that for a long time. And I've always appreciated that. He just represents this city so well, the city, Moeller, Ohio State, Bengals. So again, you can't say enough good things about Sam and his family and the entire community.
Things in the trenches weren't perfect during the run last year. Does that experience help losing when you've lost three linemen, knowing that you can do it and overcome it?
Yeah, it feels so different for us right now. Just our team feels different. We feel like we're even in a different place on offense, and so yeah, you learn from all the experiences we've had. We always store that away and make sure we learn from it. A lot of that stuff feels so long ago, and sometimes you're facing different teams with different strengths, and it's just it's yeah, that's in the back of your mind, but at the same time, this is just really a different year for us.
I know this is kind of a difficult question to ask, but how is Joe better as a player and in the pocket? How have you seen him grow this year?
He's always been so consistent for us. Just plays really fast. It's um, that might sound lazy, but he processes things really quickly, gets the ball out of his hand really quickly, and just does such a good job identifying defenses. That's why defenses are trying to toy with him so much now. They're trying to disguise everything because they don't want to show him the look. And that's the next step in his process. He does a great job of understanding that. I think the throw to Hayden Hurst down to the inch-yard line was a great example of that. I didn't think that they were going to play in a two-safety zone based on the look, and he changed the play, and they played two-safety zone, and he caught the Benner right above number 6, and we were down to the 1-yard line. So he sees it at a different level, and that's why he's such a premier player. Okay, thank you.
Thanks.